Okay. Good evening, and thanks for joining. I'm going to ask everyone to mute their microphones. That should be everybody. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. I do want to start with prayer. So if you would just join me in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord, tonight I ask you to bless us with your grace, with your continued grace, because we have so many blessings right now. We have our safety, we have our health, and we have our school community. And these are huge blessings for all of us. They're certainly blessings for me. Please join me in a Hail Mary. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So it's weird for me to just talk and talk and talk without hearing anyone. So forgive me for the crazy presentation. I did some preparation, and I thought we could, I know there are tons of questions. Hopefully I have tons of answers for you. And at the end, after I go through everything I've prepared, I want to open it up so that you can ask questions, and hopefully I can answer those questions for you. But I thought we would start just right now with finishing this year. So let's look at what we need to do right now, how things are going, and how we can finish this year successfully for our children, for the school community, and for the business of the school, because that's definitely a concern for me as well. So I want to let parents know, hopefully I should unmute everybody so I can hear a big giant sigh of relief. The first thing I want to let you know is service hours are off the books. You're off the hook. There's no way for me to make you come in and clean something. So thank you for all of you that have already done service. Those of you that were saving them for the very end, like you were going to do them all at the bazaar, lucky you this time. So, but I want to encourage you, if you haven't done service hours yet, for next year, get started early, because it's a really great way to become involved in the school and to really get a feel for what it's like at school, what it's like to be involved. And this is where you're going to meet your friends, more friends. I know when my son was in kindergarten, we were at a birthday party, and a mom came up next to me and started talking to me, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to sit here and read. And she like refused to leave me alone. She's one of my best friends still 30 years later. So let that person bug you into being your friend, because there are lots of nice people in our school community. And it's great for you to get to know the people that your kids are hanging out with. It's great for you to see all of the great people that are in our community. So for now, you're off the hook for service hours. So thank you for that. I want to tell you about the bazaar raffle tickets. You're not off the hook for those. So every registration, every tuition agreement included bazaar raffle tickets. And while the bazaar was canceled because of the crazy virus, the raffle is still happening. And I would say Father asked me every week, sometimes more than once a week, about what about the raffle tickets? And I say, Father, I mention them every day. Every day I remind parents to write that check. And I remind Father that this is a hard time. You know, people have a hard time writing an $80 check when $80 can go for something else. So I understand that. Do your best, please, because the church is looking for that. That is part of our partnership with the parish, and that's revenue that they are missing as well. At one of my meetings with the bishop, he said, I know schools are suffering. realize that churches are suffering too, that the income in churches, you know, usually it's all coming from the plate. Income in churches is at less than 1/3. So they still need to pay their bills and take care of all their responsibilities too. So if we can help the church by buying our raffle tickets, that would be a great thing. Also, I want to talk about tuition payments. As I was saying, I know lots of people are struggling. If you have been struggling and you need some more time, need to stretch out your tuition payments, make an adjustment there, or if you need some more serious help, you need to come to the office or make a phone call, make an email request for tuition assistance, and we'll send you a form and you need to fill that out. That's if you need to change your tuition obligation for this current year. Okay, I understand people are struggling, and so we will do everything that needs to be done to keep everybody in our community connected. Okay, so realize that there's help there, but you have to ask for it. About graduation fees. Oh, one other thing about tuition payments. We did turn off the late fees with Smart Tuition. So we just didn't think it would be right to put you in debtor's prison and have your fees grow if you were already struggling. So there should be no late fees for tuition, but please make a point of making arrangements for whatever it is that you need. Okay, I'm willing to help. I just have to know about it. Okay. Graduation fees. For our 8th grade parents, know that we are doing some things to make graduation special for the kids. It's you all know by now that it's not going to be a gathering in, sorry, you all know it's not going to be a gathering in the church. And that I wish it was, but we will have a Zoom graduation, and the diocese tells us don't cancel things, just postpone them. So we're going to do a Zoom graduation, and then when we can gather, we'll do a live graduation. That's what we can do. We'll do some sort of celebration for our 8th graders. So about grad fees, we're spending some of that on the things that we usually do for the kids. They are still having a retreat. We're doing some special gifts for them. And once all of the costs have been paid in full, then we'll give 8th grade families a refund to their Smart. Okay, so we'll make sure that your money does come back to you, whatever there is there. For 6th grade camp, we haven't really had too many paid in full for 6th grade camp, but 6th grade camp will happen next year. So we'll do, hopefully, what our plan is to do a 7th grade camp at the beginning of the school year, and then a 6th grade camp as we normally do towards the end of the school year. So we want those kids who are going to be going into 7th grade to still have that camp experience. We don't want them to miss it. So we're just going to push it back a bit, and we want them to be able to benefit from that as well. About report cards. Report cards for this last trimester will look a bit different than for the 1st and 2nd trimester. As you might know, the work that has been assigned comes to us in many different ways. Some families are completely on board and have no problem getting to schoolwork, and some families are struggling. And in public schools, the reason for that big delay in public schools getting to work right away was because they had to offer a fair and equal opportunity for education. And so they found that they couldn't. And they still have some issues in the public schools about delivering special education virtually, because it really can't be done. So this is part of the reason for the diocesan guidance to adapt the report card for this trimester. So for this trimester, and this will be something that every student worldwide will experience, the report card will look different from our school. It will either show progressing, which is a P in standard-based grading, progressing, or no evidence. So instead of rating your child and their progress with so many variables to change their education, we've gone to essentially they're either showing progress towards learning the standards or there's no evidence of that. Realize that the guidance from the diocese, from the governor, and I think nationally, is that no harm can be done to a child's academic standing during this time of the COVID virus. Okay, so if your child had whatever grades they had in the last trimester, those grades cannot be impacted negatively. So it's a challenging time for teachers. There's, beyond the fact that they're learning to teach in different ways, grading is a whole different ballgame. So I just want you to understand what will be coming your way. So on the progress report, it will either say progressing or NE for no evidence, but you'll also receive a detailed narrative. And that will be details about how your child has completed the work that was assigned to them during this time. As I said, nationally, globally, this is like a moment in time that it will just be an unusual and understood time that this grading period comes from a different place, and it won't be weighted the same way as your traditional academic grading period. Well, I'm sure I'll have questions about that, but let me get through the rest of everything first, and then we'll go back for questions. Okay, so those are things about this year, about finishing out this year. I have also prepared a list of events, and I'm going to send this out tonight to all of you, and it's really just a day-by-day calendar of events and activities. And this will just be a good reference for you, and it's a good way for you to stay connected, but also a good way for you to understand the things that we're adapting to make it still a part of our community. So this Friday, we'll have our Mass and the Feast of St. Rita celebration. That will be Friday at 11 o'clock. And I think that has been a pretty successful way to connect our community. So thank you so much for joining in with the Masses and for being a part of that. This is a great opportunity to connect the community. So Monday, there's no school, and it's Memorial Day, just in case you haven't looked at your calendar. I know lots of people are like, I don't even know what day it is. Unfortunately, I still know what day it is. But Monday, there's no school. So then Tuesday through Friday, we're having Spirit Week, and Student Council has prepared a little schedule of, all the crazy things we can do in a Zoom meeting. So there will be, a patriotic day. There'll be crazy hair, crazy color things like that. Hopefully you'll encourage your kids to participate and just enjoy the time with their classmates and with their teacher too. The teachers need to break the monotony a bit too. So Spirit Week will be next week. Also next week is the 8th grade portfolio presentations. It's a big deal for our 8th graders. They put so much work into everything that they're doing. And I'm really pleased to find that lots and lots of teachers are signed up to sit on the panel and watch their portfolio presentations. So in years past, everybody wants to do this, but there are always commitments and time constraints. And this time, we all happen to be available to sit in front of our computers and really enjoy the presentations that the 8th graders have prepared. So it's a real blessing for me to be able to watch and listen to the kids talk about how they've grown since they've been at St. Rita's. So I'm so proud of our kids and all the work that they're doing, even in this, difficult and unusual time. So next week is all about 8th graders and their portfolio. So keep them in your prayers. It's a kind of a nerve-wracking time for the kids. So lots of rites of passage for them. Also, next week we'll have Outreach, and I understand there was some difficulty with the links today for Outreach, so I'll do some investigation on that. But we'll have Outreach again next week at 2 o'clock on Wednesday. School Mass on the next Friday, on the 29th, and the 8th graders will have, that will be the day when the 8th graders come and pick up their gowns, their cap and gowns, and some other surprises for them. So mark your calendars, 8th grade parents. That's on the 29th. Okay. The 31st, which is that Sunday, that's when that bizarre raffle drawing is. And as I said, I know it's challenging, but that's a commitment that we've all made to partner with the church. So if you can take care of that before the 31st, that would be ideal. Excuse me. So it seems like this time is really just racing by now. The beginning of May, it was like, wow, this is such a long time before school is out. And now it's really going quickly. June 1st, which is just about a week and a half away, the 8th graders will have a retreat, as they do every year. So they'll have a spiritual retreat, which is awesome. And then also on June 1st, our kindergarten through 4th grade will have move-up day. And so it will all be in Zoom, of course, but the teachers have lots of fun things planned to be able to meet up with the next group coming in. So the kids get to talk to the incoming teacher and just hear their expectations and get to know them a little bit and kind of take away some of the anxiety, especially for our 4th graders. Now, Ms. Klatt has been great about our 4th graders and really trying to prepare them to move on up to the upstairs. As she said, they're nervous. They really want a lot of reassurance. And I love that Ms. Klatt has her finger on the pulse of those 4th graders. So the 4th graders will have a Zoom meeting, a move-up day meeting with all 4 of the middle school teachers. So that should help put their fears at rest and really let them just anticipate and enjoy what's going to be coming for them. On June 2nd, the 8th graders will have a picnic, like the junior high picnic, but it will be a picnic lunch in their computer. So we're really trying to keep the fun, and Mrs. Lepore has been great about finding ways to still connect with the kids. On June 3rd, that's a Wednesday, and this is in the evening, we'll have our 8th grade award ceremony. So 8th grade parents, mark your calendars there, Wednesday, June 3rd at 6 p.m. And that's when we'll make announcements about awards from high schools and other awards that are pertinent to our graduating kids, like the gold cords and things like that. So really proud of the kids and how they've worked. Also on June 3rd during the day, we'll have some field day activities. And so our teachers are really being creative. And sorry, there's a helicopter flying over my house right now. The teachers are really being creative, trying to find ways to just infuse some fun into these video meetings. And we want to try to do some field day activities, something, minute to win it and things like that, challenges that you can do at home with your kids or your kids can do even on their own. June 4th will be our kindergarten promotion, also in a Zoom. So they'll still don their cap and gown and receive a certificate, but it's, adapted. On June 4th, our 8th graders will have a high school prep session with the USD fellows from the Ponton Path. So this is USD brings counselors to our school, and school counselors, and they have done an awesome job of just understanding and meeting the needs of kids and guiding them to resolve conflicts and just to increase the level of mental health within our community. So that's awesome. They will be doing something special for our 8th graders on the 4th, which is Thursday. And then on Friday, June 5th, we'll have our school mass and a farewell assembly. So this will be a great time. I've already seen some of the things that are prepared. All parents at all grade levels will really enjoy this. So please make the time to join us for mass at 11 o'clock. And then we'll go immediately into our farewell assembly. So I know the kids at all grade levels are doing something for our 8th graders, and Mrs. Laporte always has something nice for the kids as well. So please join us for that. It's a great way to gather, and really, even those parents of younger kids, it'll get you. You'll love it, and it just is heartwarming. So so join us for that. That's on Friday at school mass. And then on Saturday, June 6th, that's our graduation day. Our graduation ceremony will take place. It will be a mass. It will be at 10 a.m. It will be a Zoom meeting. We have plans to do our very best. As we said, we're just postponing our live and in-person presentations, but we don't want to go without, and we don't want our kids to go without their graduation ceremony. So that is Saturday, June 6th at 10 a.m. So after June 5th, your kids are out of school. They're officially done for this year. That's the end of the school year. But we still have more things planned for them, and part of it involves our technology. Right now we've loaned out I think just over 90 devices, laptops and iPads, and we need to get those back. So we'll use Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the 6th, 7th, and 8th of June to do computer and book returns. So when your kids left school, when we closed on March 13th, they still had lots of things at school. Excuse me. They have books, they have personal things. Your teachers will be in the classrooms. They'll collect everything together and have it all in a bag for the kids, and we would want you to come and return the computers and any textbooks that you have. So we'll have some lists for that so that we can keep that as organized as possible. We'll have a schedule so that it's not a mass, so it's not a gathering. So look forward to that, but just know that we'll be collecting the computers back the week of June 8th. We're not planning to keep those computers forever because we want to do some service on them, have our IT tech do a nice clean sweep, and then if you need technology for summer work, because there's always some summer work assigned to keep you from backsliding, those computers can be available again, but we need to have them get a checkup. So we'll have them available beginning in July if you need to check them back out. Our preschool promotion will take place in a slideshow, and that is going to happen on June 12th for our preschool parents. As I was saying, on July 1st, we'll have computer checkout for summer work if that's needed. And it'll be just the same process as we used before. And then we don't plan summer school this year. The only way that I would really want to have summer school would be if we could gather. Otherwise, I think your technology needs a break. Your brain needs a break, and my teachers need a break too. So right now there's no plan for summer school, and in the projections from the CDC and from the governor, it's not really in their plan either. So this will be an unusual time that we don't have summer school. Okay, so I'm going to move ahead into next year, and after I'm done with things that I present, I'll unmute everyone, or I'll let you unmute yourself, and then we can have some question and answer, because I'm sure there are questions. So for next year, we have 72 students enrolled so far, which is actually pretty good for what's happening in the world. And this is kind of a normal schedule for St. Rita's. We're late enrollers. I don't know why that is. But it's hard to project when we're going to have money and how things play out. And so I would just encourage you to bring in your registration paperwork, even if it doesn't have money attached to it right now. I would just prefer to have your registration in, and use that as your commitment to bring your kids back. It's pretty important for the business side of running the school. So your commitment is really valuable to me. About financial aid and about TADS. How many people are frustrated with TADS? Go ahead, you can raise your hand. So TADS, so let me explain how we got to TADS. So initially there was the Bishop Flores Scholarship opportunity, tuition assistance through the diocese. Over the past few years, that was only maybe 4 years ago that it was started, but over the past few years, it has declined in funding. And our current bishop doesn't want to spend the money in that, putting it in that direction, which is, he has other programs planned, and that's, at his discretion. But for St. Rita's, we have an opportunity. We have a pretty good reputation in the fundraising side of Catholic schools, and because we've had a great development team and we have a lot of support in our community. So we have some donors who want to give. So we just received a $40,000 financial aid grant, which is great. That donor said, I want the diocese to match this. And the bishop was like, I can't just go matching everybody's money everywhere, that I don't like that kind of connection. So so I had to make an exchange. And just so you understand the numbers, this is a 3-year commitment. So it brings $750,000 to the school over 3 years. So it's a big deal, and it's worth the hassle of filling out a TADS report. But essentially what I needed to do was exchange our participation in that financial aid opportunity to get the matching for this greater financial aid opportunity. So it makes sense financially. The bishop agreed to it because it makes sense financially for us. Last year we received about just under $20,000 from the diocesan tuition assistance. So wasn't as valuable as the bishop thought it might have been for us. And this other opportunity is much more valuable. So when you receive that email that says, sorry, St. Rita's isn't participating in the diocesan tuition assistance, you didn't waste your time or money filing for TADS, because they also, since we all, every school pays a head tax, and TADS is part of that service that's provided whether I want it or not. I can use the other services that TADS provides, financial aid screening and things like that. So what it does is takes some of the burden of verifying financial need off of my plate, which is useful. You know, I can use my time other ways, which is great. So thank you for taking the time to still complete that. And thank you for understanding that even though you get this rejection letter, we have much better opportunities in-house at St. Rita's. Daycare at St. Rita's is going to change drastically. I'm projecting right now our perfect world, our normal return to school. So in that daycare setting, we will have an in-house daycare with 2 providers that will have structure, but will be located in the school building, will be financially attainable for everyone, and still having some of the program structure that the Y had, which was great. But when we signed up with the Y, they didn't give us the program we signed up for. And their promise to make things manageable financially didn't happen. And I want to apologize for that. But just know that going forward, it will be better. And and that care will be given inside the school building. So that's a great thing too. And then student council. Usually at this time of year, student council, kids are giving their speeches for student council elections, and we're having a pep rally, and there's all sorts of screaming and fun happening. And this year we decided it would be better to wait for next year, wait till we get back into the school. And in the first 2 weeks, we plan to have electioneering and student council happening then. So just know that it's hasn't fallen to the wayside, hasn't been forgotten, but we just need to put it on pause for now. Okay, I'm going to open up for questions. I have a COVID, I have a whole sheet of COVID remarks to give you. But let me see if anybody wants to ask questions about things we've already talked about. Right. Right. So, I'm gonna put you back to mute and then unmute yourself. Okay. If you have a question, unmute yourself and just speak up. Are there any questions at all? Yes, Giovanna. Let me hold on. You're muted. Okay. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm just curious, do we have any sort of idea if next year is going to be like part distance learning, part in school? Do you guys have any idea yet? Or any like foreseeable, I guess, I don't know. I just wonder if you have an idea.
What we have is contingency plans.
Okay.
Okay, so I've been charged with making essentially 3 plans. A plan for distance learning. I know everyone dreads. A plan for partial distance learning, which I think is not doable, and return to school with lots of precautions. And that's my intention.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else have any questions? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Is school going to start back in August no matter what?
Yes, the bishop has said that we are not changing the calendar. We're not
Okay.
going to change the start and end date of school. So the first day of school will be August 19th.
Okay. August 19th.
Yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
I have a question, Ms. Olson.
Go ahead.
When you say school will return with precautions, what is it exactly that we're looking at with precautions?
Okay. All right, let me see if there are any other questions. I have a list to read to you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Are there any other questions about things that I've already spoken about? Okay. So I'm going to mute everybody again, take away your option. And I'm going to read you our, I'm going to tell you what my precautions are, okay? So, so we receive a lot of guidance from the diocese, and what the director of the Office for Schools does is he takes the information that he gets from the Center for Disease Control, from the governor, from the county, and he synthesizes all of that. The Office for Schools, along with the bishop, they look at all the information and they say, okay, let's try to wrap our arms around all of this information. So last Friday, I received like a 6-page email with about 10 links in it. It's like, here's your Friday night reading. Just relax and read about disease and how you can, all the ways you can try to stop it. I did do all the reading. And I went through and looked at the recommendations through the lens of St. Rita School, through the lens of parents who I understand need to get back to work, through the lens of parents who are concerned about their children's health and the health of the rest of their family, of course, through the lens of teachers who also need to get back to work in their normal setting, but also need to be concerned about their health. And looking at everything, I found, I just went through and made a list of things that we can do that I think are manageable and really doable for every family. I would say that if you have a child who has a serious health concern, and there are a few kids in our community with these concerns, we might need to find some different solutions for you, because you need to consider your child's health maybe as more critical than the return to school. So let me just go through this list. And one of the first things they said in this document was, how big is your classroom? Everyone needs to look at how big is their classroom and how much space is there to separate kids so that there's some distance between every student. So some of the collaboration that we've been doing, we'll probably tap the brakes on that a little bit and do a bit more independent work, but there are still ways for us to be together. One consideration right from the start is a mandatory mask for every student, for every teacher. So that's one of the biggest things that is advised for slowing the spread of the virus. So that's a consideration. I just want to note that right now we are in what's called preparedness phase, because in our community we have no community transmissions. That means in our community we haven't spread the COVID virus from one person to another in our community, which is great. And that's a very positive thing, and that's a good place for us to start from. So I have this awesome picture that I'll share with you uh, of a hand washing station that I took this picture when I was a kindergarten teacher at a pumpkin patch outside of a petting zoo. And they, if you're a teacher or a preschool teacher, you're like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's a big bin with a PVC pipe that goes over top, and water comes out. Just the water just flows right out. There's soap, there's paper towels, and it's a multi-station hand washing station. So more than one student could use it at the same time, and there could be distance between them. So things like that. I personally, I could put hand washing stations outside of every door, every exterior door, so that kids could wash their hands. Kids would be required to wash before they entered the school building. Another possibility that I thought was manageable for us is a staggered start. So in order to keep groups from gathering too many people at one time, we could have and these are just ideas. We could have a group of, say, kindergarten, third, and sixth grade start at 7:45. And we would have a morning assembly. The kids would wash their hands, they'd go into class. And then at 8 o'clock, the first, fourth, and seventh grade would arrive. And we do a morning assembly, hand washing, and into class. And then at 8:15, second, fifth, and eighth grade would arrive and do the same thing, a morning assembly. Trust me, I could talk all day in front of the kids, so it wouldn't be hard for me to repeat myself 3 times. And then we could have that same staggered dismissal. And I know there are families that have more than one kid, and we can work those kinds of issues out. That's not a big deal. But that's actually a pretty doable situation, and would decrease the number of students all gathered as one. Another thing, just reading through the materials, they recommended hot lunch as a grab and go. So every hot lunch would be bagged and ready to go instead of kids lined up close to each other with an open tray of food. An easy solution. And then the kids would go out to the lunch tables. So you're thinking, well, those lunch tables, they sit pretty close together. I would double the number of lunch tables in the lunch zone right now and just have 4 kids at a table instead of 8. It's a pretty easy solution. Still staggered lunch sessions, and kids would eat in the same area every day. The tables would be disinfected after each use, so they'd be ready for the next use. So basically cleaned and disinfected between uses, between students getting there. Kind of the same situation with playground space. The idea is that kids, so if you're in one grade, you stay with your grade. You would play with those kids in one designated area. That's not that hard to do, and it just requires more supervision on the playground, and that's something that we can do. Other ideas, single grade PE. So right now we do combined grades, so that would be easy to do. Spray disinfectants. I was telling someone I bought a new pair of shoes yesterday, and I went to Roadrunner. I don't know if you're familiar with that. So they don't have their store actually open. You just go up to a kiosk outside, and you walk up and you tell them what you want, and they bring a box out to you. And before they hand you the box, they spray it with the disinfectant, and they hand it to you. And then you hand it back to them, and they spray it, and they put it away. And then when you go to pay, they spray the keypad, and then you use it, and then they spray it again right after. Things like that. It could be time consuming, but it's manageable. It's just more about kind of changing how we look at our staffing. The good thing about our flexible seating that we have already in our school is that kids already know how to work independently, how to, sorry, a helicopter. They know how to work independently, and those seats that we have, especially in our lower grades, they can easily have a 6-foot radius around them. In our upper grades, we may need to make some adaptations with some of the desks. I know we have dual desks, but we can also just have them further apart. So I don't think that would be a real problem. As I said, grade level lunch seating with spacing, grade level play spaces, sanitizing between lunch and table uses, and sanitizing desks, door handles, doors, all that will be, that's going to become the new norm. And as long as we just continue having kids understand the need for washing, for hand washing, for covering your coughs, for masks, that's those are the things that we can do. And then one other one was for bathroom use. So having essentially a hall monitor, if we're going to go old school, use some old school terminology, have a hall monitor to disinfect the bathrooms after use. So these aren't ideal situations, but there are ways for us to get through this time and get our kids into a safe place. Those are all of the things that I have prepared. So I'm going to, once again, unmute you and open it up and invite you to ask your questions. All right. All right. So if you have a noisy background, if you could mute until you have a question, that would help. Okay. And if you have a question, go ahead and speak up. Are there any concerns? There must be concerns. I'm still concerned. The plan for preschool. That's a great question. So everything that we are doing right now, I'm going to mute everybody. So everything that we're doing right now is working with guidance from, as I was saying, the county organizations, the CDC, the diocese, and the mayor, the governor, all of those things. That's where we get our guidance. Right now, what we're expecting right now is another notification next week where they loosen the controls a bit for preschool, because right now there's the ability to open preschools. We can have a preschool open only for essential workers and 10-to-1 ratio. So it's pretty unmanageable. There are 2 preschools in the diocese that have opened trying to find a way to help their community, and it hasn't been successful yet. But they do expect that the guidance will open things up a bit, because if in general our country is being instructed to try to get back to work, parents can't work if there's no daycare for their children. And so we understand that. We're eager to get back to work. We're all eager to get back to work. And while we don't want to look lightly at the situation, my personal opinion is unless you are severely immunocompromised, we might be better off having some exposure to it and looking at it like chickenpox, where we always wanted our kids, in my generation, we always wanted our kids to get the chickenpox when they were young and strong so they could get through it and have that defense in their blood for the rest of their of of their life, and they wouldn't have to worry so much about it. I know that's very simplified, but the point is that we can't hide forever, and we have to get to work, and we have to take our as many precautions as we can to but also to return to our lives. Okay, if you have a question, let me see. Let me look at the chat box again first. Sorry, I'm not very good at this. What are the hours to drop off the tickets and money? You can check with the church. I'm not sure what their church hours are, but I think it's usually like our hours, 8 to 2 or 3, somewhere around there. For the preschool, another concern is that kids, preschoolers can't stay 6 feet apart. That is part of the reason for those more severe restrictions with preschoolers, that they would all share the same germ pool, and it would be limited. So for the bigger classes, the current 7th grade has 32 kids. Would I consider dividing that class? I would consider that. I need to, there's a staffing concern, but also looking at what's required, and then just having some continuity. I don't expect this situation to last forever. I don't think it will be a whole year, but we can certainly make some adjustments in the meantime. I'm just looking through. Will we do temperature checks? We have ordered thermometers to have that availability. I know that temperature isn't, it's not a fail-safe way to predict the virus, but it is one of the screening processes. So we have ordered some more equipment to be ready. So yes. Sorry, I'm just reading through the chat to see if I'm overlooking anything.
How can I ask if you guys are going to use masks?
Pardon me?
Are they going to use masks?
That's like that would be like an easy first step, would be to require everyone to wear a mask. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Will daycare be more flexible with hours? Yes, daycare will be more flexible. It won't be the same pricing structure or billing cycle as it was for the Y. So it'll be more like we had earlier, if you were here then, somewhere in the $3.50 to $4 an hour range, whatever looks right for the business, but also to make it manageable for families. Okay. Will we have sports? As soon as we can have sports, we will. It's really, I'm ready to be the old St. Rita's. I'm just waiting for our guidance to say yes. So good question though. What if a family has different grades? That's not a problem. So like when I was talking about that staggered session of different start times, that would not be a problem. We could make an adjustment for a family with more than 1 or 2 children, of course. That would not be a problem. It's really just a matter of finding a way to keep the large groups from gathering. Any other questions? I'm thankful for the chat here. It does help. The team pictures, are they arriving to the school or to home? Team pictures from sports. I haven't heard, so let me look into that, and I will get back to, I'll let you know in my morning message. I hope everybody's enjoying all of that video time I have, because it's very uncomfortable for me. So to put my money where my mouth is. I asked the teachers to do record messages, and so now I have to do it. They don't usually have to sing to their kids, but I do, and I'm not really built for that. But I'll do it for your kids because I love them. Looking at another chat message here. The yearbooks are completed, they're ordered, they're being printed. They are, if they were on schedule, they would arrive next Friday. Right now, we think they're a week late. So we're hoping that they'll make it before the last day of school and graduation. But if not, we'll have the yearbook pickup day. So we made a great yearbook. Miss Fehrenbach made a great yearbook, and the other teachers contributed their pictures. It's just a matter of getting it from the plant. For 8th graders, Disneyland. Yeah, so this is part of those grad fees that we talked about, that the Disney tickets, we have the money returned from that. We're still trying to get the money for the bus refunded to us, and that was $1,800. Yeah, wow, exactly. But that's part of the grad fees that we'll refund back to your smart tuition once we get all of the fees covered. So we're not planning to profit from you this time. First chat. Just a moment. I'm looking through the chats here to make sure I didn't overlook anyone.
There was a question about First Communion.
Okay, so First Communion, we have to wait until we can gather. The preparation has been done. Your kids are amazing. They're adorable. We're just waiting until the bishop has the all clear from the CDC for us to have church gatherings. I know my my granddaughter, who was born on Christmas Day, is also waiting to be baptized. And Father Armando said, I'm going to get there. You just wait till I get the green light, and then there will be smaller gatherings. But there are a lot of sacraments all stacked up and awaiting. So thank you, Mrs. Lepore. Other questions? What's going to happen with our hours if they're your service hours? You're clear of service hours. You just got to get out of jail free card. So you're done with your service hours for the year. Oh, First Communion. Yeah, we're ready whenever Father's ready, and he's waiting for the bishop to give him the green light. The dates for Move Up Day, that was June 1st for K through 4. And then the computer return dates are the 8th, 9th, and 10th. And I'll put this whole schedule online for all of you. I'll email it to you, and like I've been able to blast everybody lately. I know I'm the ultimate spammer lately. I'm just looking through to make sure I haven't missed anyone's questions. Okay. Good question from Mrs. Sablon about, will the junior high kids switch classes, or will teachers switch classrooms? That hasn't been decided yet. It kind of depends. Each teacher has all the tools that they need in their classroom. So we'll have to wait for guidance from the CDC about how much movement kids can have, and what they say is possible. We have thought about doing something in the parking lot for kids before summer break. And this is kind of what the computer and book return time is kind of like. We can't do a gathering, so it would really be kind of like a drive-through opportunity to see live faces, one more time for the school year. With so many people, we have 220 students, so with so many people, it's a big time commitment for teachers to be accessible, and we can't have kids getting out of cars. This is why we can't have a drive-in style graduation, because we thought about that at first when someone first told me, yeah, I think our school's going to have a drive-in graduation, and I was like, in their cars? That's ridiculous. And then as we got further into all of these restrictions, I guess it's not ridiculous, but it's not something that we can do. The health concerns, the gathering concerns, we need to be in compliance with the regulations that the city has for us. And we need to be role models to our kids, not breaking the rules whenever it suits our needs. So that's pretty important too. And you can't tell them, we're doing all these things for your safety, but this one time we'll break the rules, because then there goes the safety issue. So we need to just toe the line, and that's why we're so limited. Has the school considered plexiglass shields for the student tables? Do you mean for individual desks? I think that would be cost prohibitive, but also if a student is wearing a mask, if every student wears a mask, then there wouldn't be the need for a shield. The mask is the shield. It works for doctors and nurses, has, for years. So I think that if we consider the mandatory mask as the first line of defense, actually screening at home is the first line of defense, so that when your child is sick, even if they have a cold or their allergies are acting up.
What about if the kids
right now
don't like the mask, like the whole day wearing the mask?
They have to just get over it.
Yeah.
It's just required. Yeah. Right now there are no options for not having a mask.
Okay.
I don't have a specific mask. The general consensus has been that a 2-layer mask is suitable. But I would let you know from the guidance that comes from the CDC and the diocese if there is something specific required, and then we would help you find that. I know one school just contacted me and said, we're getting masks that are having our logo on them. Do you want to get yours? You want to get masks for your kids too? Like, now it's going to be a fashion statement, like, oh, St. Rita's. Or, I'm not so much worried about the fashion statement, more about the safety statement. Would it be possible for an ill child to join class through FaceTime? Yes. Yes, that when I was saying before about students who have a compromised immune system or have some health concern that needs to be a real consideration, that's an opportunity right there. And we're fortunate to have the technology to be able to do that. So that would be a way to keep those children involved in school and at home in a safe place. I will let you know specifically when I know what kind of mask would be acceptable. A face shield, I haven't looked into that. I wouldn't say, I don't think a face shield on its own is as effective. So I would say it wouldn't be, because it's all about catching particles and droplets, and a face shield would allow them to drop. So it would allow germs or particles to catch on desks or surfaces. What would the school do if someone is tested positive at school? There is a protocol for a positive exposure. So there is with CDC guidance. So from the time of positive notification, there's the first step is to contact the CDC. The second step is to contact the diocese, and then they will make a determination reviewing the case of it would be like a time frame of closure. In the reading that I had, it was potentially 2 days for, it could be depending on what the exposure has been. It could be in a classroom, it could be a whole school. For us, it wouldn't mean learning doesn't happen. It would just mean it would be back to a home learning for a short time. It wouldn't be a long time. It's a good question, though. It needs to be asked. About the special things for the 8th graders. We have some special surprises. We have some things planned for them. As I said, it cannot be a parking lot or a movie drive-in style graduation. It can't be a gathering. It has to be at home. And that is from the diocesan guidance and from our pastor as well. Any more questions? You can unmute yourself and ask if the chat is hard. What would the protocol look like when you obtain the thermometers? Will you be scanning each child daily before entering school and send them home as needed? And that would be what it would look like. We would really need some staffing support for that. As I said, we have a few thermometers on order. It's crazy. The whole world wants thermometers, just like they want hand sanitizer and Lysol wipes. So everything is on back order. So we could be, we could hope to get it before school starts. I would probably ask our medical community to volunteer some, but we're waiting for the guidance from the CDC and the diocese before those kinds of plans are actually made. But definitely any kind of illness would be immediately sending a student home. And we would just ask parents to do that first screening at home. Just as you would like your child to be safe, everyone else does too. So if we all do our part and keep our kids home when they're sick, or keep ourselves home when we're sick, that makes a big difference. This is the quietest meeting I've ever had. Are there any other questions? Huge turnout, thank you. 76 families signed in today. And teachers, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna unmute you. Rita, this is the best attended PD meeting all year. So I just want to say thank you to our auction committee, the auction that almost was. They did a wonderful job, the committee, and the decorating and all of the efforts to get things. um, giving a little bit
Ahí
of
está,
my left edge, but I just want to say that
Send our kids to school with a has
that it was great.
started, but sorry, I can't hear you. It's getting good.
So let me know if you have more questions. I know I saw some people volunteering to send their students to school. Nice try. It is a pretty lonely place there, I'll tell you that. I'm in the office almost every day, all by myself. Me and Mr. Casas hanging out. Sometimes Semenigo's there, sometimes Mrs. Owens is there. But it's a quiet, lonely place, but there's plenty of work to do. So when you do come back, it'll be great. And that's what our plan is. We're just there making plans for everyone to be successful and to be healthy. Thank you, Mrs. Lopez. All right, are there any more questions or concerns? I mean, I know you're gonna have lots of questions and you're gonna have lots of concerns. If I can just say, I'm so proud of my teachers and support staff as well, because you might think that the amount of work they get doesn't take very long, or there's a lot of prep that goes into deciding what the teachers will deliver and how it's done, and the interaction, the personal interaction and answering of questions and reviewing work takes a lot of time, and there's a lot of stress involved in it. And so just as you parents are at home with your kids, our teachers are also at home with their kids, working with their kids, trying to work and be parents too. I appreciate all of the work that they do. And parents, I appreciate all that you're doing, because I know that it's frustrating to either try to work from home with your kids or to be at home and not have work to go to. And I understand that, and we try to be as compassionate as possible for everybody in our community. So if we could all just share in that understanding of everybody's individual situation, and realize that this is a hard time for all of us, and we all have our struggles. So if we can just support each other, that would be great. All right, I think we're ready to break loose. You'll see me every morning singing happy birthday to your kids and singing the school song. Feel free to drop in and sing the school song with me on Fridays, because it's hard to sing by myself. I don't have that gift. So thank you to everybody. And I hope you've had a chance to look at all the faces in the Zoom. So you can see all the great community we have here. Thanks to all of our teachers and parents and all of our staff members for joining tonight. God bless you. And I will be talking to you tomorrow morning. All right. Good night.
Thank you so much, Miss Olsen. Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Peace.
Thank you, Miss Olsen. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye, Miss
Guys.
Hi, Miss Olsen. We love you.
Love you, Miss Olsen.
I love you guys too. That's why we're here. Let's all work together.
Bye.
Bye, bye, Roberto.
Bye.
I miss you.
Bye.
Too.
Miss you.
I miss you.
Bye.
All of you guys. All right. All right. You're gonna have me crying soon. I better go. All right. Take care. Good night.
Bye.